President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has served 5 of his ministers a very hot breakfast. Before the president returned back to the country, he called me and he told me that he will be shaking the country immediately he returns. I never knew the direction he was going. As we speak, 5 of them has been served hot breakfasts. I mean sacked. Another 7 has been recruited.
The Federal Executive Council reconvened after a month's hiatus and a 2 weeks vacation by President Bola Tinubu. After months of speculation, the president finally announces a sweeping cabinet reshuffle aimed at boosting government efficiency. The shakeup includes a major restructuring, reassignments of ministers, dismissals, as well as appointments.
The president has approved the immediate implementation of 8 far-reaching actions to reinvigorate the administration's capacity for optimal efficiency, pursuant of its commitment to deliver on its promises to Nigerians. The 8 actions approved by the president include: 1. As the Minister of Information had already told us, the renaming of the Ministry of Nigeria Data Development to Ministry of Regional Development to oversee the activities of all the regional development commissions. The regional development commissions to be under the supervision of the new ministry are the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Southeast Development Commission, the Northeast Development Commission, and the Northwest Development Commission.
Shehu Diko will lead the National Sports Commission, while Sunday Dare, former Minister of Sports in the Muhammadu Buhari administration, is appointed as the Special Advisor to the President on Public Communication and Orientation. Additionally, the Ministry of Tourism has been merged with the Ministry of Arts and Culture, creating the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, now led by Hannatu Musawa. Tinubu wielded the big stick, dismissing 5 ministers as part of the sweeping cabinet reshuffle.
These are the following ministers who have been discharged, and as you know, the president met them this afternoon to thank them for their services for the nation. They are as follows: Barrister Uju Ken Oaneye, Minister of Women Affairs; Lola Adejon, Minister of Tourism; Professor Tahir Mama, Minister of Education; Abdullahi Muhammad Guazo, Minister of State Housing and Urban Development; Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, Minister of Youth Development. So only 5 ministers were discharged.
10 ministers have been reassigned to new portfolios. Yusuf Sununu, previously Minister of State for Education, is now Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. Tunji Alausa, former Minister of State for Health, has been elevated to the role of Minister of Education. Abubakar Momo, who once led the Niger Delta Ministry, now oversees the newly created Ministry of Regional Development. Uba Amadou, who served as Minister of State for Steel Development, has been reassigned as Minister of State for Regional Development. Doris Uzoka Anyete has transitioned from the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to become Minister of State for Finance. Senator John Eno, previously in charge of sports development, is now the Minister of State for Trade and Investment following the dissolution of his former ministry. Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim moves from Minister of State for Police Affairs to Minister of Women Affairs. Ayodele Olawande, who was the Minister of State for Youth Development, is now the Minister of Youth Development, and Dr. Salako Adoboye, formerly Minister of State for Environment, takes on the role of Minister of State for Health. In addition to these changes, President Tinubu has nominated 7 new ministers, pending Senate approval. The nominees include Dr. Nentawe Yiwatda as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Bianca Odinaka Odumegu Ojukwu as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Muhammadu Megari Dingyadi, who previously served as Minister of Police Affairs under former President Muhammadu Buhari, has been nominated to replace Simon Lalong as Minister of Labour and Employment. Lalong had left the administration to focus on his position in the 10th Senate. Others are Jumoke Oduwole as Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Idi Mukhtar Maha as the Minister of Livestock Development, a newly established ministry. Swaiba Hamadu has been nominated as Minister of State for Education, while Yusuf Atta is nominated as Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development. The president had set up a central delivery coordination unit led by Hadiza Bala Husman to measure the performance of his ministers. This shake-up comes after months of anticipation and follows President Tinubu's earlier warning to members of his cabinet about underperformance issued 10 months ago during a retreat.
After months of speculations, President Bola Tinubu has reshuffled his cabinet. The president sacked 5 ministers. The Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, Minister of Tourism, Lola Adejon, Minister of Education, Tahir Maman, Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Guarzo, and Minister of Youth Development, Damila Ibrahim. 10 ministers were reassigned and 7 new nominees. President Bola Tinubu scrapped the Niger Delta Ministry and the Ministry of Sports Development. The Ministry of Tourism merged with Ministry of Arts and Culture. Shehu Diko is chairman of National Sports Commission, and Sunday Dare is SA to the President on Public Communication and Orientation. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris gives more clarity.
What is happening now is that the Federal Executive Council has taken a decision to take that Ministry of Tourism out and the functions of that ministry be transferred to a new ministry called the Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy.
A number of regional development commissions like Northwest Development Commission, Northeast, Southeast, and some other that are coming up are already in place. And there must be a ministry that will supervise all these agencies. And in order to do that, today, Mr. President and the FEC decided that all these commissions that have been created and signed by the National Assembly will be brought under the supervision of the SY Ministry of Niger Delta, which is now redesignated as the Ministry of Regional Development.
Let's now tell you some ministers reassigned and their portfolios. Yusuf Sunono, who is the current Minister of State for Education, is now Minister of State, Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. Tunji Alausa, who is current Minister of State for Health, is now Minister of Education. Bello Goronyo, who is current Minister of State for Water Resources and Sanitation, is now Minister of State for Works. Abubakar Momo, current Minister of Niger Delta Development, now Minister of Regional Development. Uba Ahmadu, who is Minister of State for Steel Development, has now been reassigned as Minister of State for Regional Development. While Doris Uzoka Anite, who is currently the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, is now Minister of State for Finance. John Eno, Minister of Sports Development, is now Minister of State for Trade and Investment. While Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, who is current Minister of State for Police Affairs, is now the Minister of Women Affairs. Ayodele Olawande, who is Minister of State for Youth Development, is now the Minister of Youth Development. Salako Isiak, who is Minister of State for the Environment, is now Minister of State for Health. And the ministerial nominees are Nentawe Yilwatda for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Muhammadu Dingyadi for Labor, Employment. Bianca Odumego Juko has now been nominated as Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs State, and Jumoke Oduwole as Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Idi Meha is Minister of Livestock Development. Yusuf Attar has been nominated as Minister of Housing and Urban Development State. Suwaiba Ahmed is Minister of State for Education. And, well, that actually is the list at this time. State House correspondent Femi Akonde joins me now from our Abuja studios for more on this. Femi, thank you for joining us at this time. What exactly is the general atmosphere like at the villa following this announcement?
Well, you know, this cabinet reshuffle was highly anticipated, but not everyone knew when it will happen, when President Bola Tinubu will make that announcement. Even when he traveled on his 2-week work leave, everyone had expected that probably from there, this this reshuffle or this rejig of his cabinet will be announced. But eventually he did that on his at his first Federal Executive Council meeting after his 2-week working leave to the United Kingdom. And you know what? At the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, it's not clear, it wasn't clear if the ministers that were sacked or those reassigned had or knew about, you know, this development, or knew if they had been reassigned, or those, especially those that have been sacked. We all saw them at the end of that FEC meeting. They went their separate ways, just as business as usual. Their countenance did not display probably what happened in the meeting, or if they were informed about the sack. But you know, President Bola Tinubu had said that at the beginning, when he appointed his ministers, he had said that, you know, if they do not perform, he will fire them. He said he has the power to hire and fire. And all of these also, it's also based on recommendations made by the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Hadiza Bala Usman. She submitted a report to President Bola Tinubu making recommendations following her appraisal of the performance of the ministers. You also recall that, you know, she launched a Citizens Tracker app that would enable citizens have an input into appraising the performance of these ministers. But what level of input or impact the input of citizens had in this whole cabinet reshuffle remains to be seen. We do not know the level of impact it had. But, you know, Hadiza Bala Usman was also quite instrumental to this whole cabinet reshuffle, to this decision taken by President Bola Tinubu to reshuffle his cabinet. And it is expected that this would also inject a fresh impetus into the administration. Like President Bola Tinubu said in that statement, it would also reposition his administration.
All right, Femi.
One of those that was appointed is Bianca Ojukwu. Many Nigerians have said appointment of Bianca Ojukwu as a minister is strategic by the master strategic, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ahead of 2027 election. No wonder they call him the master strategist. The Southeast, at least, will now have some rest of mind and have a course they need to support this administration towards procuring Nigerians the renewed hope agenda the president floated.